Hello and welcome to Blocks Live TV. It's Friday, February the 15th. We're now live with the latest in the crypto world. It's 9:30 a.m. in New York City, 2:30 p.m. in London, 11:30 p.m. in Tokyo and 3:30 p.m. here in Malta. The total market capitalization has been testing support around the $120 billion level during the past 24 hours, and it's edged up by less than $1 billion. So let's take a closer look in today's live Crypto Now show. The cryptocurrency index CCI 30 has moved slightly up, and it currently stands just under 40 points below the 2,000 point level. The 30-day Bitcoin volatility index has continued trending lower, declining to 2% on this Friday. This comes as the digital assets have been trading sideways throughout the week after posting a sharp increase on Friday of last week. The 24-hour traded volume indicator has been steady as the market movement and settled close to the $19 billion mark. The Bitcoin dominance indicator has remained at less than 53% throughout the week, following the last market surge. There are no changes to the compositions of the top 5 digital assets. Bitcoin has held its ground above the $3,600 level. Ether has moved slightly up and it trades at nearly $123. The 30-cent support line has held for XRP. Litecoin has returned above the $42 level and EOS trades around the $2.80 mark. The Coin 360 heat map shows a mixed picture as Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash both are in the red on their platform. The rest of the major assets are trading higher. Well, according to the token spread website, the XMO exchange has the biggest buy and sell side difference for the dollar Bitcoin pair at 0.27%. The Gemini and CX exchange post the biggest intermarket spread of slightly more than 3%. Today, we'll take a look at some of the characteristics of VeChain. This blockchain platform offers a blockchain as a service to enterprises for products and information. It's one of the few companies that has created real-life applications for distributed ledger technology. It allows both manufacturers and consumers to determine the quality and authenticity of products that are bought. One of these systems is a tracking platform for wine bottles. Data of every step of production is stored on the blockchain, which then allows consumers to access this information via a simple scan of a QR code or an NFC chip. Well, the platform has its own native token called the VEN, and it's used for gas for smart contracts as a reward for nodes. It's one of the multi-billion supply tokens that was priced at nearly 2 cents in September of last year. The value of the token has since plummeted to less than half a cent. Well, let's now review the performance of the digital assets based on their use case. We'll use the data from the Messari website, which groups cryptocurrencies into 5 major categories. The infrastructure group shows the biggest decline today, but it's less than 1% in the red. This comes despite a number of assets trading higher. The media and entertainment category has posted a slight contraction, and assets show mixed performance. The financial sector is the top performer with a gain of more than 1%. The Binance coin is one of the top bullish drivers, while the Komodo coin is dragging down the section. The currency category stands a fraction in the positive territory. And lastly, the services section is down by less than 1%, as assets show a mixed performance. Well, this is where the 5 major cryptocurrency categories stand so far on this Friday. We'll now focus on the most significant moves among the top 100 cryptocurrencies to identify the top gainers and the biggest decliners. While just slightly more than half of the cryptocurrencies are trading higher today, and we have one major increase. The top surge is posted by Crypto.com token, which has gained nearly 32% to reach the highest level since early January. The Aurora token has another volatile day with a double-digit increase. The bullish week continues for Tezos coin. It is up by 8% to rise above the 43-cent level. The Binance coin was retreating during most of the week, but another rise puts the rate back on track towards the $10 price level. Well, the Status token has gained up 5%, and the virtual currency is currently facing resistance around the 2-cent mark. Now, none of the top 100 digital assets have declined by double digits. The coin of mother of all chains continues trending south after spiking above the 70-cent level on Wednesday. Daily traded volume has eased back as well, as it now measures at less than 50,000 US dollars. The Komodo coin gained more than 40% since last Friday, but today is in a correction move. The decline of nearly 7% puts the price of the token below the 80-cent mark. The Quant token continues seeing some selling pressures after the recent strength. However, trading activity is up by nearly 100% from a week ago, and daily traded volume is now more than $4 million. The ARK coin is down by 4% today. The asset has jumped on 3 occasions during the past week, but the 24-hour traded volume has slowed down sharply to just over $1 million. The Maker token has gained more than $100 over the past week, but it currently finds support around the $520 level, following a decline of 4%. Well, these were the top 24-hour moves during the European morning trading session on this Friday. We're now joined by our crypto experts, Jason Fernandez, COO of AE Token, and Kevin Mirko, CEO of Coin Metro. Hi, Jason. How are you doing today?
Hi, Jessica. Thank you for having me.
It's always a pleasure to have you. So we're going to jump straight in. Some experts have described the past 7 days as intriguingly flat. What's your thoughts on why the market has remained so unusually calm over the past week?
Yeah, so I think we talked about this a little bit before yesterday. Generally, when you have higher price and low volume, that would lead to a drop in price. But this time we've seen sort of prices on the high side and rather high trading activity. And I think what that would indicate is possibly a reversal is due soon. So I think that's a relationship. And generally, when you have high volume of trading, and overall the cryptocurrencies are doing pretty well, that's a good sign that basically you're going to have a reversal and it's going to start going up.
That a reversal might be around the corner.
Right. Yes, I do. Yeah.
Okay. Now, a few other experts have detected an uptick or signs of a potential price breakout, specifically for Tron, Stellar, and Binance Coin. Have you seen any of these signs, and do you two believe this may send the market north as early as next week?
Yeah, actually, I do. I think you've seen a lot of small upticks both with Tron, Stellar, and even Binance. And I think what that indicates to some extent is that it's possibly due for a spike. We've seen some of these cryptocurrencies, Tron and Stellar, for example, sort of have a hard time in a little bit of earlier this week. So I think this is basically their time to rally. But also it comes down to the fact that we haven't really seen a lot of movement with Bitcoin. And so a lot of investors are looking at altcoins to try to see if there may be more money to be made there. So a lot of the money that would probably be going into buying Bitcoin if it was more volatile, if it was going up, is sort of moving into Tron, Stellar. And Binance has its own reasons. I think we're going to discuss that later in the show about why it would be why things are moving pretty well for it. But they've had one of the most successful coins of 2019, and it's like it hit a bump halfway through the week, dropping down, but now it's up almost $1 to something like $9.40 a token.
And you're absolutely right. Binance has had a phenomenal 2019. So even Binance's CFO, Wei Zhao, he told CNBC recently their business is profitable even in a bear market. What could be some of the main factors that are driving Binance's success right now?
Yeah, so I think one of the key factors is the Binance token. So the BNB token, it was a utility token, and the benefit of that is that users can reduce trading fees on the platform by 50% while using it. And it also offers some degree of liquidity to customers. Now, most of Binance is one of the largest cryptocurrency exchanges out there, and most of their money is made from most of their money does come from transaction fees, actually, not really listing fees, but transaction fees. And given the vast amount of volumes that are traded on Binance, that's at least partly why their numbers up. I mean, if you look at the fact that they expect to earn close to $1 billion in profits despite the market slump of 2018, and that's something like $650 million higher than the annual profit projections of Coinbase, which is about 456. So while we're still waiting for a more clear picture with regard to their their trading, the surplus profit is sort of that Binance has been looking at has clearly done the holders of its token well, because the more adoption that Binance has, the higher and the more trades they do, the higher profit that they make. So they've been really successful, mostly due to trading fees.
And if you're an investor, Jason, just quickly, and you do hear a CFO of a company saying that even in a bear market, their business is still profitable, that must be appealing as an investment opportunity, right? That's a very bold statement, especially in the cryptocurrency bear market that we are seeing.
Yeah, there is a bold statement, but I think there is certainly some truth to it, because given their reliance on the Binance coin, and the amount of volume that gets traded, regardless of whether it's a bear market or not, people are still going to be trading. I mean, we've seen a bear market over the past several months, and volume. I mean, sure, it's gone down, but it's certainly a fair amount. So if you consider that most of their money comes from volume, and the fact that they're looking at $650 million in profit, I mean, clearly, regardless of whether it's a bear market or not, that's not really going to hurt their bottom line much.
And when we look at other crypto projects, do we think that some crypto projects actually lack this creativity in their business model to profit in the bear market?
Yeah, so I'm not really sure how most cryptocurrencies could profit from a bear market, with the exception of exchanges that are actually profiting from just the trading, whether it's up or down. So in a bear market, pretty much every cryptocurrency that's dependent on people actually buying it and then holding it and hoping that it goes up, pretty much, which basically represents the majority of cryptocurrencies. That basically means that they're really not able to benefit from a bear market. But when you start talking about exchanges, and particularly the Binance coin, that really, trading is not going to stop. Volume is going to stay at a certain point. And so those companies can still make money. But other than, it's like the often told story about how the people that make money during the gold rush were the people that sell the shovels. I think the same is true with cryptocurrency. I mean, even in a bear market, people still need Binance.
Mm-hmm. And we spoke yesterday about JP Morgan, a company that at one point in time called Bitcoin a scam. It announced the launch of its native cryptocurrency. Now, there has been a lot of social media buzz around this project, and most conclude that it's not a cryptocurrency. I'd love to get your thoughts on this, Jason.
Yeah, I mean, certainly one of the main principles of cryptocurrency in general is that it's expected to be distributed, it's expected to be non-centralized, and this is a highly centralized coin. But I think most of the publicity they've gotten is mainly due to the fact that Jamie Dimon has been so anti-crypto. And it's just such a massive reversal for them to come out now and say, hey, we're going to launch our own crypto, after saying that crypto was worthless and it was worthless investment, while still investing in blockchain though. And I think that sort of is how everything's been going. Crypto has become a bad word, or it kind of is, and so a lot of people are saying, oh well, we're for blockchain but not crypto, while secretly everybody really knows that blockchain and crypto are two sides of the same coin. And so if somebody's making heavy moves into blockchain, then crypto is not far, because they're really tied together. So it's always been the case that the crypto bulls and believers like myself have always felt that at some point or the other, JP Morgan would have to come out and acknowledge that they were wrong. And I think that's the majority is a schadenfreude of people basically hearing about that and actually wanting to basically want to tweet about that. So they've had a lot of excitement and a lot of social media interest, but that's not necessarily because their coins are particularly particularly fantastic. But the fact is, I mean, they're still one of the largest institutions to have ever released a cryptocurrency, and one of the most major banks to have done so, or to be planning to do so. So that's certainly going to move the market in a good direction.
And do you think it will have a positive impact on the traditional financial markets as well? Do you think other institutions similar to JP Morgan will also kind of sit up and maybe likely come forward and say they are dabbling in blockchain or cryptocurrency, or at least look into it if they've not already started?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, it comes down to market buy-in, and JP Morgan is a huge player. Whenever you see increased crypto adoption, whether it's JP Morgan or whether it's Mitsubishi, which we're about to talk about soon, the fact that when you have large companies that are starting to adopt blockchain, what that implies is that the underlying technology is in fact revolutionary, no matter what they tell you. And sooner or later, pretty much everything is going to be changed by blockchain. And and I think larger companies and larger institutions are realizing this. And if they're not immediately moving towards crypto because it's just been such a malign word over the while, they've been sort of signaling it by saying, "Oh, well, we're working on blockchain." And even yesterday we spoke a little bit about Domino's and the fact that they started accepting crypto. It's not just the fact that Domino's is accepting crypto or that JP Morgan is releasing a crypto. It's more about the fact that it's just become so normal, and people have just started understanding what crypto is. Even random people on the street that probably had no knowledge before are just slowly over time starting to understand what this is about and the potential for this new technology.
Absolutely, and it definitely is exciting. Now, you read my mind a little bit, Jason, because we are going to talk now about Mitsubishi Financial Group, which is obviously Japan's largest financial institution. So this has also announced a cryptocurrency and blockchain-powered global payment system. How is the industry set to welcome this news, and how could this impact the market?
Right. So what I was saying was essentially Japan, Mitsubishi is one of the largest, one of the top 5 banks in the world, basically. So the fact that they're going to launch their own token by 2019, that indicates massive buy-in from what would normally be considered a pretty traditional business or institution. And you couple that news with the JP Morgan story and the slow adoption of crypto pretty much around the world, the increased ATMs, the various traditional software companies, for example, that are experimenting with blockchain, and essentially what you start having is a picture of a slow march towards blockchain adoption, and finally crypto adoption, sort of led by these massive banking institutions. Whether it's to transfer money, we even see the crypto that Iran has released, that also comes down to essentially transferring money. Ripple comes down to transferring money. So there's a lot of players in this space where of money transfers, and I think that that clearly shows a real use case. There's a lot of questions about whether there were use cases at all with crypto. There was like a lot of discussions about, oh, well, we've talked so much about crypto, but nothing's actually being done. Well, now we see things are being done, and that's bound to affect the market.
And if we look at these projects like we've spoken about, we've got JP Morgan, we've got Mitsubishi Group. So could they ever pose a risk to organizations such as Ripple that see banks as their customers?
Yeah, so actually they certainly could. But remember, Ripple also faces is essentially a disruptor of Swift. So yeah, it will certainly affect Ripple. But I think ultimately what you're going to see in this market is consolidation. Like when we look at the .com bubble, what sort of ended that and brought the .coms back was a period where there was a lot of consolidation. A lot of smaller companies basically ultimately filtered out into Google, Amazon, and Apple. And you're going to start seeing that with crypto as well. So you're going to start seeing, and even when it comes to transferring money, I mean, if you need mass adoption if you're going to transfer money from one bank to another bank in a different country. Now, if you're moving funds, obviously, between your own bank, you have some leeway to enforce the use of your own cryptocurrency. But ultimately, there's going to be 2 or 3 major players in this game, and that's going to probably come down to Ripple and maybe a couple of players that we haven't even heard of yet, haven't even entered the market. So ultimately, this is going to start signaling an uptick and essentially a change in how we see crypto and how crypto use cases are implemented by massive corporations.
And you mentioned Ripple, and you also said that some organizations and some cryptocurrency tokens that we've not even seen yet. Could you put a point on when you would expect to see these kind of tokens enter this space? Is it something that we might see in a few years, in 5, maybe even 10?
Well, I think certainly you're going to see a lot of change in this industry over the next couple of years. I think that as soon as Bitcoin ETFs, Bitcoin futures start becoming a reality, and people are able to, particularly institutional investors, are able to trade Bitcoin without needing to use have access to security and passwords and public and private keys and stuff like that. Once you start seeing institutional investors come in, then you're going to start seeing a lot of new players. I mean, a lot of these players are probably already working on the technology, but it's probably not the best time to launch. But even if you see the stuff that companies like Revolut and a lot of crypto debit cards, for example, are doing, there's certainly been a huge move towards this and towards basically using crypto either to move money around or to make payments. And you're going to start seeing that more and more, particularly with and yeah, like when you were saying with regard to 2019, you're going to see probably either 2019, late 2019, or perhaps 2020 when you're going to start seeing some bigger players and start seeing consolidation in the market. So that's what I would say. I would say last quarter of 2019 is maybe first quarter of 2020.
Fantastic. Well, Jason, thank you so much for joining us on the show today and also throughout this week. It's been an absolute pleasure to get your insights. Thank you very much for your time.
Thanks, Jessica.
Thank you. Well, before we sign off, I do have a last-minute update from our editorial staff regarding the crypto market. The total market value is back above the $121 billion level. Trading activity slowed down slightly, and the 24-hour traded volume indicator now stands below the $19 billion mark. The Binance Exchange announced the listing of Ontology Gas token, and it's up by 60%. The Ontology token, which was already listed on the Binance Exchange, got a boost as well, and it jumped by double digits. The Binance coin is the top performer among the 10 major assets, and it's up by nearly 7%. Well, that's all for this week's final Crypto Now live show. We thank Jason Fernandez for his expert analysis. We thank you, the audience, for joining us, and invite you all to accompany us every weekday at the same time.